You are now listening to the Red and Blue Rivalry Podcast, the podcast where we talk all things San Francisco 49ers and Dallas Cowboys.
My name is Eric Hernandez, and I'm repping all the faithful.
And I am Philip Enriquez, repping it for America's team. But outside of Cowboys and 49ers talk, you asked a great question, man. How far away are we from seeing an Antonio Brown, white Bronco chase?
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Right?
I mean, they're looking for him already.
2 or 3 days, right?
Oh, tomorrow morning.
Yeah. It's just that bad.
Yeah,
but
I hope they cut in live to that.
Yeah.
I might take work off. I'm not coming in. I call in sick.
National holiday.
Yeah, I'll be like, look, are you sick? No, it's just Antonio Brown is driving around on a police chase, so I'm not going to be in right now.
Right. This is like back in the days of the 90s when OJ did the same,
yes,
man.
I need to see this.
Totally, man. But we got a lot to talk about. So we got the Cowboys. We got the Niners. The Niners have a lot to talk about. They're in the Super Bowl. They're going up against the best of the best, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you got to be amped for that. I mean, just as a Niner fan, forget the game, forget on the field, just as a fan and in the fandom, how is it?
It's amazing. It is something
Tell us what it's like to be in a Super Bowl.
It's the ride, and I think we'll speak more about this later, but just the journey, and you feel confident. You feel confident, like when you look at this, like you're playing Minnesota and you're playing Green Bay in these playoff games. You feel confident, but as the weeks go by, you feel less and less confident. You hear social media, you hear these talk shows, and the joy of watching them, because there was no suspense in this game. The suspense was watching the time tick down closer and closer and getting to see, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch celebrate, to see, Mike Shanahan. Jed York made Mike Shanahan honorary captain in order for him to present the George Halas NFC Championship trophy to them. Oh. So Mike Shanahan's on the stage with the NFC Championship trophy, and he's got Jed York right there, and you have Kyle Shanahan, and he presents it to Jed York, and Jed York looks at him and says, "Don't give it to me, give it to him, to his son." So he got to present it to his son. Yeah. And it was funny, no one really talked about this, but in true Mike Shanahan fashion, is like, he's going to give it to his son, who just is going to a Super Bowl, and tries to give him a handshake. And Kyle's like, "Can I get a hug?"
Yeah.
So Mike's like, "No, this is, but they do. They embrace. And you see this like joy and this celebration. You see everyone on the field, all the players that you're rooting for up and down through this year, all the players that have been there, like the Joe Staley's that have gone through the countless,
ups and downs,
real, like the depths. I mean, Joe Staley was talking about retiring after the Chip Kelly era. Because of just, there was no hope for this team. Yeah. And nobody, when the season started, thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl. No. Make the playoffs was even questionable. Right. I thought, okay, could they make the wild
I figured
card?
They were about a 9-7 team.
I looked at them as like a 6-10 team. Maybe they get bounced by New Orleans, in the playoffs. Like, they'll be a wild card. I thought the Rams would win the division. Maybe they go have to play. Maybe they win one on the road. Kind of like what the Cowboys did the year before. You win one, you go on, and then, you still have so much to go. But what they were able to do, the culture, and I think that's really understated right now. Because you know what? The NFL has a lot of good players. Do you have the mental aspect and the culture to get there?
Culture is everything. That culture is so underrated. Yeah. Culture is something that fantasy football and reading books and nobody
PFF
gets it.
And all that other stuff doesn't get.
It doesn't take anything into account when it comes to the culture in the locker room. Winning culture is just that. Yeah. It attributes and is completely accountable to winning itself.
Yeah. And what made this NFC Championship win and going to the Super Bowl, what made it so sweet is you kind of like, I lost my mind because it was just so exciting. The interception at the end by Richard Sherman to seal it, which is the end.
Right.
It was decided long before that, but, the final nail in the coffin for the Packers was that play. And, you think of like Richard Sherman crying of going through everything he's gone through, being let go by Seattle, the Achilles injury, and being able to do his own contract. And then he comes here and people are calling him. They're saying, "Why are you going to the Niners?" Jimmy gets hurt. And now he's on a team that's really bad. And
let's face it. Yeah. If they didn't do this turnaround in 2019, we're talking about Shanahan's job.
I think 2020 would have been the year they started, because then you're in year 4 of that deal. I don't think like.
But I'm saying, let's say that they fall flat on their face. I mean, we're questioning, how far is he going to make it into next year?
That's a good question, and I answer this.
I don't think Shanahan, I'm not saying he would have got fired this year, but I'm saying like he would be teetering right now if they missed the playoffs in a bad year. And I think Lynch might be fired. Yeah.
I think it goes back to the culture. And I think we shared this story was last year when Jimmy goes down and they're in the midst of a 4-12 season, and the younger brother of Jed York, the owner, dies. And they decided to give the game ball to Jed, and Jed's standing there and he's, emotional, and he's telling these players during this horrible season, like, believe in these guys. This is a championship culture. He sees it, and it was a big turnaround in my eyes for a guy like Jed York, who, was thought of as the worst owner in the NFL. You chased off Jim Harbaugh. You backed Trent Baalke. You backed the wrong horse. You've ruined this franchise. You've had no success, and the one success you did have, you kicked out of this franchise. And for him to, in a sense, kind of luck up and get these two guys at this time, like everything bounced the right way. And, man, you look at what John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan just fit perfectly, and they get along with Jed York. And you don't have to always get along with owners, but when you have something winning, it does help. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
It definitely doesn't hurt.
So when you have a guy like John Lynch who came from the booth, and a lot of 49ers fans were pissed when he was hired. Like, what does this guy know anything about drafting and developing players? But the truth of the matter is, if you're a GM, you can hire scouting directors. He hired Adam Peters, who came through the New England tree, the Denver tree, could scout players. He got Martin Mayhew, I think, who came through, the Detroit, was a GM for Detroit. And he's surrounded with people that knew how to pick players. But what John Lynch had to do was how to rebuild a culture, how to kind of help Kyle Shanahan. Because Kyle Shanahan, truth be told, he's got a little bit of Jim Harbaugh. He's prickly. He doesn't like to deal with people. There's stories of when he first had an interview with the coaching staff. He told them, when we're walking these halls, if you say hi and I don't say hi to you, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. But my mind is solely on football.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with anything else. I just want to deal with football. So John Lynch, it creates that ability to kind of give him that buffer zone.
Yeah, right.
And that's what you want in a GM. You want a GM that works with your head coach. And now the last thing was the winter meetings last year. And this is the last story I'll tell about this one that made me laugh is, it's the second day of winter meetings or their spring owners meetings.
Right. Yeah.
So they're there. It's the second day. Everybody's tired because they partied the night before. And you turn around and you see John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan singing karaoke, singing like the Top Gun love song to their wives. They're just having fun because these guys, they're arm in arm with each other.
Right.
They really are. And it's cool to see that. It's cool to see that dynamic because you trust in that dynamic, and they've gone through the downs. The first season with they were bereft of talent. They had no talent on that roster. Not winning a game until I think week 10, when CJ Beathard beat the Giants. You still have to trade for Garoppolo. Then you have some hope. Garoppolo blows his knee out. And now you're just going through a 4-12 season. They get Nick Bosa. They sign D Ford. John Lynch and them put this together. And that's why this NFC Championship win, means so much. And it's so exciting to see that the culture, and we've talked about this, nothing is guaranteed next year. But you have that feeling of like this culture, as long as it sticks together and there are no injuries, this is what it can be moving forward.
Yeah. That they're not going to drop off. They're not going to fall off the map at the very least.
They're not going to
be competing.
They're not going to be. I don't think they're going to be the Chicago Bears or the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Right.
Where they're just, it's 1 year they're in the AFC, they're champion, and the next year they're.
No, I don't see that
third.
at all. I mean, this is still a playoff team next year.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be shocked if they're not in the playoffs.
Barring any crazy, barring injuries to Garoppolo, Bosa, or Kittle, but you look at just the feeling, and guys you love, these guys love each other, and you can see it, and these guys are fun. George Kittle's that's my spirit animal. George Kittle loves pro wrestling, loves to block. He said, he goes, I don't want to catch. He goes, you know why? He goes, guess what? When I have to play offense, I have to catch, I get hurt. He goes, we win, but it sucks. I've been tackled all game. Here, I just run dudes over. Yeah. He goes, my body will feel great tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you just have these guys who, you just love rooting for. You grow with them, and, man, it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I give it up, man. I really wish I could say the same, man. But, coaching changes from Garrett to McCarthy, and people are, wondering if it's a good hire. It wasn't a flashy hire. Then again, it's not Garrett. I think all Cowboys fans can agree with that.
It's
not Garrett. Right. But we'll see. I mean, you've kind of asked me earlier, like, how long is his leash? I mean, he has a 5-year deal. So, you figure you're going to get at least 2 or 3 years out of this guy. But we'll see how it goes, man. I mean, I really don't know what to say. The team was disappointing. We'll see what, like you said, what does it look like in training camp? How hard are these dudes practicing? During the end of the Garrett era, I'll say it seemed like, oh, you stubbed your toe? Okay, well, we'll sit you out for 2 weeks in training camp. Like, that's just not it. You haven't earned anything yet. We're not the defending Super Bowl champions.
No.
You have to play your guys. You play your horses,
And I think one of the questions will be is well, first of all, the Green Bay thing is what we remember is Green Bay was not a very active free agents. They weren't active.
No, Ted Thompson was a cheapskate.
Yeah. So now I don't think he has to worry about that. Can he manage Jerry Jones? That'll be the question. And, the last guy to successfully manage him and win championships was Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
That really kind of was like, wow, I know Barry Switzer did it because, Barry Switzer was a pawn. But the guy to really handle Jerry, and it was him. And he, a few weeks ago, got inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That big old thing on halftime. I'm sure you saw. I think it was the Green Bay-Seattle game.
It was, yeah. Halftime.
And, I'm just going to give a quick one. He didn't know. It didn't look like he knew. And that dude, that giant 8-foot Andre, the giant guy comes out and says, you're part of the Hall of Fame. And, they cut. I thought, honestly, real quick, I thought something was wrong with him because he couldn't speak. And I was like, is he okay?
I didn't catch the begining of that. No. So I was watching the first half at my brother's house.
Yeah.
My brother, was just, I think I was visiting his newborn baby.
Yeah.
And it was halftime. I go, I'm going to jet at halftime. So I'm starting to get up and we're kind of BSing whatever. Hey, all right, I'll see. And all of a sudden he's talking about like, yeah, I'm a new dad. It's some real important shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'm a new dad. I'm excited. We got to make sure we have the, all the diapers and we got to have all this and we got to do this and we got to take the pictures and the first Bible and the baptisms. And then all of a sudden the corner of my eye, I see Jimmy Johnson crying and I'm trying to concentrate on my new niece. And I'm like, hey, shut up. Jimmy Johnson's crying. Like, what is he crying about?
This niece is here. We're good.
Yeah, she's good. I see her. She's right there. Like, but Jimmy Johnson's crying, and my niece is not.
Yeah.
And that's when I seen, oh, wow, he just went into the Hall of Fame. Like, he just got, like Cowher did the previous day.
Yeah.
And yeah, he couldn't speak. And then seeing Troy Aikman kind of tear up
in the booth he was crying
in Green Bay. It was a good moment. It's like, look, dude, maybe we're not in the Super Bowl, and I would trade that moment for yours 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10. Yeah. But it's nice to see. I think one of the most underrated. He's just not talked about enough with the Bill Walshes. He's not talked about enough with the Bill Belichick's and the Tom Landrys and the Paul Browns it's Jimmy Johnson, dude, because Jimmy Johnson. Is he completed what you're hoping, Kyle Shanahan's starting, a turnaround of the most vicious turnarounds from the absolute worst to the absolute best.
Yes.
That's a lot. That's and to do it so quickly like Jimmy did and just to be able to not only that, but then after you go from the absolute worst to the absolute best and then come back and win back to back. That's tough. And he even admits that 93 season, that's the toughest because everybody's full of themselves. We're all drinking Super Bowl juice. Yeah. We all have our own we all have our own radio shows. We all are doing our own book deals. We're all doing our own sponsorships.
Yeah.
And I got to get these guys to believe they're not good enough to win this Super Bowl again. And so, that to me, he's one of the few that did that.
Yeah.
And built a dynasty, and I think that, hey, dude, like he deserves it, and hopefully, I think the only thing that he's due for more than a Hall of Fame bust is he needs to be in the Cowboys Ring of Honor.
Now, does Jerry finally lift that ban on him? Like, because I feel like this is getting petty.
You have to.
You can't have a guy who's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, built the roster, turned it around, is a Hall of Fame, but he's not in your, because it makes you look so petty. Like. At this point, it's like, what reason do you not... Like, you could have a BS reason that we all know is crap, but you can hide behind it. Like, he's not really a Hall of Famer. I mean, we had talent. Of course he won.
Anything shy of Jimmy Johnson fucking Jerry Jones' wife, there's no reason for him not to be in
and
the
even
Cowboys.
then, like,
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
he had one night stand. You got 2 Super Bowls.
Right. There's no reason for it.
Yeah.
He's the man, dude. Jimmy, and you know what? I'll give Troy Aikman this. Dude, Troy Aikman's been on a roll with me lately.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's one of the best analysts on TV these days. I think he's fair all the way around. That is crazy. But I think he's fair with everything all the way around. And he said, you know what really made me to kind of like tear up when I'm watching Jimmy is that he didn't deserve to be the last one out of our 90s dynasty. He should have been the first one in the Hall of Fame. And that's so true because he was the driving force. So how is this man going in last? Emmitt Smith's in, Michael Irvin's in, Troy Aikman's in, Charles Haley got in.
Yeah.
All these guys are in, and this guy had to wait so long, man. That's me as a Cowboys fan.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was kind of...
How does someone just as an NFL...
I was kind of shocked because to be on the outside is like, I mean, like you said, he had this great turnaround. I mean, that third Super Bowl is pretty much his too. It's his too.
Yeah.
And you look at what the talent he drafted, the talent he cultivated, and the ability to win in an era where you had the dynasty of the Niners with, we talk about best, but we had a league MVP in Steve Young. He beat them twice, and they were still considered the best teams when he beat them. He went through the Niners at home in one game. And then, you look at the Green Bays,
Right, Favre,
the birth of Favre.
And all those
exactly.
Guys, yeah.
Being able to beat the Bills, who had their K-gun offense. And you look at this guy, and I was like, man, he's done that. When I first found out he wasn't in the Hall of Fame, it blew my mind. Because I'm like, yeah, I mean, he's done a lot. I would just assume he's a Hall of Fame coach. Because he wasn't like somebody that got gifted a great franchise. He wasn't gifted a bunch of talent. Like,
he inherited a 1 in 15 team.
Yeah, that needed so much help. So, you kind of look at it like that. Like, I think he should be, and I'm glad he's in. And it was nice to see, even as just a regular fan, it was really awesome to see that, to see how much it meant to him, to see how much it meant to Troy Aikman, to see somebody that he really cared about and helped him in his career. Even if, things were rocky at the beginning, that was his guy he went to war with,
Right. Yeah.
And to see those guys win. And then if you're Jerry Jones, man, look, dude, you have a chance here, a fresh start, to induct him this year into the Ring of Honor. To sit there and say,
right,
to a coach, because whatever was in the past is in the past. I mean, you think both of them are older now, they're wiser now. They understand, and what Bill Walsh said when they left was they will never find the same amount of success apart that they did together, and those words still ring
true today. Stand true today. Another thing about Jimmy, man, is he's won at the college level. He is a winner at the college level. He's a winner at the pro level.
Yeah,
not many coaches can say that.
No, I mean, you look at those University of Miami teams and just
some of the best teams.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All time. Yeah. I mean, college and he wasn't a bad coach in Miami. They were a playoff team under Jimmy. They didn't win a championship, but they were in the playoffs.
You're dealing with Marino towards the end of his career,
right? So to me, I'm glad he's in. He needs to be in the Cowboys Ring of Honor. It was a great moment. I can't wait. I wonder who's going to induct him.
That's
in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he calls Jerry. It would be nice because let's be fair. Like, for as much shit as we give Jerry Jones for firing Jimmy Johnson, basically, or splitting ways, he brought him in.
Yeah.
That was his first move as owner of the Dallas Cowboys.
I think we both would agree. If it's going to be anybody that we know, he might have a surprise one, but betting money's got to be like on Aikman, no?
I don't know. I would think maybe even if it was a player, I would probably think Michael Irvin because they have history going even back to Miami.
I
mean, Irvin was his guy.
Yeah.
Irvin was his guy. Irvin was his guy so much, and this is something that maybe even some Cowboys fans aren't aware of, but Irvin was so much his guy that Jimmy thought about moving on from Irvin just because he didn't want the other players to feel like Michael, got like a special treatment.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like I'm too close to him,
That's so much he loved him.
Yeah, and Norv Turner, from what I'm hearing in different reports, Norv Turner's like, we're not moving from any of Aikman, Irvin, or Emmitt Smith. Like these are the pillars of this offense. Yeah. So
if anybody was gonna do that, I've seen him pump people up. If anybody's gonna like induct me, but I feel like that dude's running about a 4-hour introduction press
We'll
card.
see. You know, Jimmy might have his wife.
Yeah,
Because his wife's the one that does his hair.
Yeah?
That's his hairstylist.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's
Did
his
not
wife.
know that.
Whoever does his flip,
Yeah.
this hair that Emmett Smith used to mess up with
Yeah.
the Gatorade, that was his wife.
Ah.
So it could be her.
Yeah, it could be like
Yeah.
like if we're just talking strictly NFL players or personnel, you'd think, it would be
Player,
nice to see
I would say Irvin.
Irvin. Man,
yeah.
it's nice to see that. He deserves it, like we've talked about. But let me ask you, if you could take one characteristic of Jimmy Johnson and hope Mike McCarthy has to get this team over the hump, what would be the one thing that you said Jimmy Johnson had that this team needs and that you would hope McCarthy can put into this team?
Jimmy Johnson was a no-nonsense, no excuses coach. I think with Garrett, we got used to the excuses. Like, I don't care why you're late to practice. You're late to practice.
Yeah.
You're not playing. I don't care. And if you're at the bottom of the roster, you have no excuse.
Yeah.
You're cut. Jimmy Johnson didn't, say, he didn't bench you. If you're towards the bottom end, if you're a non-starter, you're a backup, your ass is cut.
Yeah.
We'll get another guy that wants to be here on time because you're not Troy Aikman.
No.
You don't get, even they asked him, what if Troy Aikman fell asleep in your meetings? He goes, well, I'd probably just wake him up.
Yeah. He's Troy Aikman.
Yeah, he's Troy Aikman. But, hey, you know what? If the kicker falls asleep, hey.
We can get another one of you guys.
Yeah, we can get another one of you guys right now. We need that mentality. We need a coach that churns the bottom of the roster, keeps those guys hungry because those are the heart and soul of your team. Look at you, dude. Look at Mostert.
Yeah.
He's hungry. He wants to show, hey, those fucking other 6 teams I played for fucked up.
Never
I
gave
can
me a
contribute
chance.
to a Super Bowl championship caliber team.
Yeah. And here's the kick really quick about Mostert is that he wasn't even he was part of the old regime and they saw the talent in him and the hunger and kept him. There's no reason to keep him.
Right.
But I think I agree
Is
with
he
you.
late to meetings and shit? No, exactly. That's
and he
it.
made his bones as a special team. There's a special teams hit they used to show where he blows a dude up.
Right.
And that's him.
Those are
He's
your
a
guys,
gunner.
effort players.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at the talent that they've cultivated with them. You have guys like Kella Witherspoon for the Niners, who, when he lost his starting job in the Minnesota game to Mosey, he went and told the special teams coordinator, give me all of his snaps. Why? Because we don't want him to get tired. He's the corner now. So I want to make sure he's rested so we can win. You want that culture.
It's a team mentality, a winning mentality that pays dividends.
Yeah. And I think that's what you said, that's what Jimmy Johnson, and that's what you would hope McCarthy has, that ability to kind of galvanize this team and to kind of be a little rough on them. A little bit of Parcells, in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. We're missing that big time. I think Cowboys fans would love to see just even a little bit of that.
Yeah, I think that more than like you said, more than scheme or talent, because I feel like scheme is fine, talent is fine. It's that Jimmy Johnson, Bill Parcells kind of, we're going to crack the whip. We're going to work hard here.
Right.
No more excuses, no more BS. Yeah, and I mean, that's what guided him to 2 Super Bowls and really 3. I mean, yeah. Switzer.
That's his dynasty.
That's his, exactly. That's his dynasty.
Yeah, without a doubt. So I'm happy Jimmy's in. I'm sure you're happy you're in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Should be fun. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about that. What do you want to talk about next week, man? You want to go position by position? How do you want to do that?
With Kansas City?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like something
you want to do that, or do you just want to just fucking what our thoughts are in the game, dude? Just spitball.
I think we could do position group by position group, so it's not too daunting, and then we could just give our thoughts on the game at the end, because I mean, it's an interesting breakdown.
Oh yeah,
it really is. I mean, this is offense versus defense. This is one of the best, most prolific passing offenses to one of the most suffocating pass defenses that we have. This is an opportunistic defense in Kansas City versus one of the most complex running games in San Francisco.
I would call San Francisco's offense I wouldn't call it opportunistic, but their offense is not flashy. No. By any stretch.
You know what they are? They are the invert of what Shanahan had with the Falcons, where Shanahan, with Matt Ryan, who there's these big plays,
right?
Through the air, and then they ran it to kind of. This is the opposite. It's inverted, where this is big plays on the ground, where we can scheme everything up. We've got the players that believe in the talent, but when we need a 3rd and 8, Garoppolo can deliver. He can find Kittle. When you guys are just completely committing to the run, like to stop the run, we can hit you with the play action pass you never saw coming, and there's Kittle running down the field for 40
Chiefs
yards.
got to stop the run.
Yeah.
That's the key. And like I said, we'll talk about that next week. But the key is them having to stop the run. And I think you need to let Garoppolo show. Not that he's the weak link, and I don't want to get into the Garoppolo is he's the worst quarterback in the NFL or he's the best quarterback. I think both parties are out of their damn minds. But
I agree with you, because I think that here's the thing, you have to stop the run, because if you don't, Shannon has proven he will do it to you and you're done.
Right. It's over.
It's not even about Garoppolo. It's you need to stop that, or else he's going to beat you into the ground with that.
Right. It's exactly what it is. It's that whole, it's Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Let's say you're in the ring with Mike Tyson. What are you afraid of? You're afraid of his power.
Yeah.
You're afraid of him getting up close with one of those power punches.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's the run game for the 49ers. You're going to make Tyson beat you a different way.
Yeah.
And that's got to be Garoppolo.
Doesn't mean he can't.
Doesn't mean he can't, because he'll still knock your ass out. But I'd rather get knocked out with his second or third best punch.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and that's the way I see the Super Bowl. But we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. But I know you're hyped. I'm hyped.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of the better Super. This Super Bowl is gonna be what last year's Super Bowl was supposed to be with the Rams and the.
Oh, that was a terrible Super Bowl.
Remember how it was hyped up? Was the Rams offense versus this New England defense?
Defensive game.
Yeah, it's 3-10. Yeah, so no. I think we got this. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that next week, man.